What it do, Jab Turkeys? What is this movie called?
Bad Trip.
Sorry, there's a lot of tripping going on. Girls trip, bad trip. I tripped and fell. I don't know. I couldn't remember. It was a very forgettable title. But is the movie good? I love this movie. One of the funniest movies of 2021. Toddy is not the biggest fan of Eric Andre.
I'm not.
And this movie stars Eric Andre.
Yes.
What's his name? Lil Rel.
Lil Ray.
Something like that.
Uh-uh.
And Tiffany Haddish, of course. And yeah,
the guy from Get Out.
Guy from Get Out.
The
T.S.
TSA.
motherfucking A. Yeah. So, so this was a movie that went straight to Netflix, obviously, because of the situation. You couldn't go in the movie theater. But Eric Andre is known for doing, like, jackass type stuff where he, like, plays jokes, like the Bad Grandpa movie and pranks and stuff like that. So this is one of those movies where it had a cohesive story, but also there was a situational comedy.
There's a storyline.
And there's a storyline and reaction to real people are reacting to these actors. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the funniest. This is what I love. I grew up trying to be a jackass person. Me and my little white boy friends, we would do dumbass shit.
I think all boys in that generation grew up trying to be a part of jackass.
We did. So this is why I love stuff like this. I love the Eric Andre show. I really wish I would have came up with this concept of his show, by the way. Just having regular guests and just doing the most random stuff in front of him. But anyways, I'm talking too much about his show. But this movie right here, this was basically the premise was this guy sees this girl from high school that he always had a thing for. She didn't really know him that well. And he sees her in the store, and it turns into a road trip movie where he's trying to see her in New York and try to form a relationship because he's fell in love at first sight. And during this time, he ends up convincing his friend to go with him, and they steal his sister's vehicle, who is in prison, played by Tiffany Haddish. And at the same time, luckily, she gets out, and she's on the mission to get her car back.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of funny, wacky, insane shit that happened in between, all the prank stuff. One of the first scenes in the movie was like a vacuum sucks his whole clothes off and he's naked in front of this random guy. When he sees
customers, there was customers like on the sideline.
What did you think about this movie overall, though? I haven't even asked you, really.
It was actually pretty funny.
You liked it?
Yeah. I liked it more than I like his show. There's a couple episodes of his show that I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I guess this is funny. But for the most part, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
But there was actually some pretty funny scenes in this, so.
As funny as this is to watch, too, this is not the easiest thing to do because, first of all, these are all actors, especially Tiffany Haddish, that people would probably recognize in the streets.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. How did none of them get recognized this whole time?
A lot of these places they went to, like that honky-tonk redneck bar or whatever.
Obviously, they aren't watching their
Exactly.
stuff.
So they're going to places where people are not. I'm sure people.
But that restaurant with all the black people, they didn't recognize none of them. Really?
Well, she had face tattoos, and I mean, different. I don't know.
She looked the same.
You're right, though. That part, I would have probably thought that people would have recognized.
Her hair was just braided, and she had a couple, like you said, like tattoos. But
there's this scene where she was on the streets of North Carolina, like, "Hey, have you seen this man?" I could see why they.
Yeah.
People are walking the streets.
It's kind of weird.
And, yeah, people are not thinking a
They're
celebrity's
paying more attention to the situation than they are like the person. So I can get that, but
yes. I think the funniest scene in this movie, though, where there was a part where it was actually at the end, when they kept making references to the Marlon and Shawn Wayne movie White Chicks. Oh. And they were just like, how does this even work? Anybody would recognize that if that happened. And at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, they dressed up in white chicks, prosthetics, and makeup, and they just crashed this like bougie club and had a great time. I love that part.
That part was funny.
Whoa. Oh, and there's another part too where it's so cringe. He's talking to this girl that he's in love with, and there's these customers like he's at this juice bar, and they're just like, where's my drink? And he puts his hand in a blender, and it looks like he's blending his hand up, and everyone freaks out and just leaves. It kind of shows like the interaction of people. It kind of shows like people are assholes. They'll either react and run away. Some people did help. in some situations. Yeah, but
I could see it why some people would be freaked out. Like, not everybody is fit to help a person that just lost their hand in a blender.
Yeah.
So it's pretty graphic. I don't think people signed up for that when they were like, I'm gonna go get a smoothie today. And they get like blood everywhere.
Yeah, that
it was everywhere. And then he went and talked to that old man on the bench with his hand still bloody. That part was funny.
Speaking of that, too, another funny part was he went to the mall and he did like a musical number. It looked like one of those, what do you call those, flash mobs? And people were just like, what the hell is going on here? One part I didn't like though. There was some parts that was just like, obviously this is fake, but there's people still not. Like
the gorilla.
The gorilla part.
Yeah.
There was this part where they were at a zoo, and he was pretending. It looked like he was getting raped by this gorilla.
I knew that was gonna happen too. As soon as he went in there, I was like, "Oh."
If you know his humor, you knew that was coming. I think, yeah. So, but the gorilla didn't look real at all.
No, it was literally like a man dressed up in a gorilla suit. It was very obvious, but no one paid attention to that. I don't know.
So I didn't like that part though. But another funny part though was when there's this Chinese, what was that thing called? The
finger trap.
The finger trap. They ended up getting on drugs and having a good time in a grocery store and just messing with people in the grocery store. And the part of the movie where they were high and they wake up on a golf course with their penises in the Chinese trap and they're trying to get people to get them out. Yeah, that was hilarious. You know, of course, if you've watched Jackass or anything with even Eric Andre, you know there's throw up, there's nudity, there's drugs, there's just everything that's just weird to watch.
The car accident where the car like goes and flips like upside down in the air.
And tears that car up.
I'm still trying to figure out how they made that one happen.
Hey, movie magic, baby. Movie magic.
But I mean, there was people there that watched the accident happen and then get out of the car.
Movie magic, baby. I don't know how they did it. I'm glad that they, at the end of the movie, though, they told people that this was a prank. Yeah. I wanted to see people's, reaction to, what the heck just happened. But I definitely do recommend this one. If you are a fan of, that Dick House stuff, that's stuff that's just, pranks and awkward comedy like me, I recommend it. It's not going to be for everybody, though.
No.
Seriously. My humor is different than some other people's.
It's definitely very... very graphic, very mature, very... Yes. Do not watch this with your children.
Definitely do not watch
Absolutely not. There's probably plenty of adults that won't like it, so...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But, if you're very immature and you grew up on the Jackass series, you will love this. And if you like the Eric Andre show, you'll definitely love this. I think Eric Andre is a genius when it comes to comedy. I've said it, he's great. I honestly really wish I would have came up with the concept of his show. I think it's a very great concept. And I can't wait to see more of Eric Andre. I'm not even the biggest fan of Tiffany Haddish, but she actually made me laugh in this movie. She was pretty funny. There's this scene where she walked up to this dude with a picture of the guys that she's looking for, her brother and Eric Andre's character, and they photoshopped the guy that she was talking to in the picture. How they did that quickly like that was hilarious, but the guy's like, that's me in the picture. You have to see to know what I'm talking about.
He was like, yeah, that's me, but I don't know them. I don't know where they are. And she was like, well, that's you. You better know.
you gotta give props to how dedicated they are to comedy, regardless of getting hurt or
They had a computer and a printer sitting
just
on the other side of the street.
They literally took his picture and probably printed it and put it on there. But the dedication to comedy, you gotta give them an A+ for that. Just the dedication of
because there's definitely a lot of work that goes into that. Absolutely.
And it's dangerous too. A lot of the things that they're doing.
They don't get arrested doing half the stuff they do.
Well, some of these things you gotta get permits and stuff like that, so I can get it. And there's people that are involved, you could tell at the bar that the people that work there were probably involved and stuff. But no, I definitely recommend it. This movie had a lot of heart, a lot of soul, not a lot of brain, but who gives a shit? Take your brain out.
That's not why you're there.
That's not why you're
there. Yeah. Anything with Eric Andre, zero brain. So.
What was this movie called again?
Bad Trip.
Bad Trip. And this is another negative. It's a very forgettable name of a movie, but it's very funny. But it makes
sense for what the movie is, though.
Yeah, it was a bad trip for them. But if you liked Bad Trip, let us know in the comments what your favorite part was. If you didn't like it, let us know why. You know, maybe it's not your forte. And if you've not seen it, sorry for spoiling a lot of it, but I do still recommend it though, because there's a lot of stuff I didn't even mention. And even the stuff I mentioned, you got to see this live.
Exactly.
You got to see what I'm talking about.
It's definitely going to hit different when you actually watch it and see everybody's reactions and what they say.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes into it outside of what we say. So
Very funny stuff. Peace.
Help keep your brother out the streets. Subscribe to my dad's YouTube channel. Love, peace, and chicken.